Okay, I actually took a lot from this.
I want some nasty. Are we having fun yet?
All right, so I thought it'd be fun if I just gave my thoughts on this past game because people are pretty upset. Like, I'm not gonna go like super hyperbolic and say every single Spurs fan is sad and angry, but everyone is basically confirming the tank and saying yes, the tank is a real thing and this is the first step towards that. But I don't really see it that way. Like, don't get me wrong, the tank is coming. But this preseason game, I think a lot of people are taking it out of context, just a little bit, okay? Now before we talk about this butt whooping that the Spurs ended up getting, really quick. Oh, you know what? I'm unprofessional. I am so sorry. Clan the Merch Fan, link in the description. If you guys want to support the channel, please do. But yeah, got a lot of merch here if you want to support. And if it's a shirt that you don't want to get and you're like, $23, that's too much. That's too much, Clan. Well, I also do a few stickers. Okay, so if you want a sticker, it's there. So go support your boy there if you want to. But thank you guys so much. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about this. So the Spurs recently lost first preseason game, 96-134. Now that looks really bad because it is. It was really bad. They got their butt handed to them. But there's a few things from this game that I think a lot of people didn't necessarily talk about. So here's the thing. Now, there's one thing that you're going to notice when you look at the guys who got the most minutes this game. You'll see that Trey Jones got actually, can we? We can't. Okay, well, we can just do it this way. So you can see Trey Jones got 20 minutes, right? Blake Wesley got 20 minutes. And we can see here, Bates Diop got 18 minutes. And there's something about that I think, people are not talking about. So Blake Wesley, we already know, or at least if you've been paying attention, more than likely he's not going to get a play or a bunch of playing time once the season starts. Like, he's going to be able to play, but I don't necessarily think that he'll be starting at point guard. And that's mostly because Josh Primo, obviously with his development, Keldon Johnson being back, and possibly Trey Jones. So here's the thing. Blake Wesley and Trey Jones, in my opinion, are playing for a role with the team because as it stands right now, Trey Jones' contract is still not guaranteed. You know who else contract isn't guaranteed? Bates Diop. So yeah, so the Spurs went ahead and decided to play those two guys a lot. Okay, they played a ton of minutes. Jakob, honestly, he plays so well in this game that I would be cool if he just like sat a few of the preseason games, if I'm just being completely honest. He's set in stone. But I just wanted to bring that up because I think a lot of people saw this butt whooping and just automatically thought, oh, the Spurs are just complete trash, which they're not a great team because we're so young, but it's not as bad as you might have thought. So it looked as if, or at least what I saw, is that the San Antonio Spurs really wanted to see what they can get out of Trey Jones in this game, what they can get out of Bates Diop. Weezy, they tried to see what they can get out of him a little bit. But for the most part, what I saw was, okay, we're trying to look at Trey Jones. We're trying to look at Bates Diop. We're trying to look at Wesley to go ahead and gauge how we're going to do things once the season starts. So they're probably going to do this for quite a few games. So just be prepared for that. But as it stands right now, I personally think that the game looked ugly for many reasons, but that's one of them. So I'm going to go from player to player to player, and I think that that's probably the best way to do this, just so my brain doesn't get too jumbled, just so I can go ahead and give you my takeaways. So Josh Richardson, he was doing Josh Richardson type things, was a pretty good leader on the court, but at the same time, he was just as bad as like the other players. He missed quite a few shots. As you can see, he went 1 for 5. It's not much there. You guys already know how I feel about Josh Richardson. I think that the Spurs should go ahead and try to trade him if they can, and see if you can get like if possible, get a first round pick, late first round, if you can. I have no idea, but get what you can out of him. Bates Diop, I've never, and this might be controversial, I never was high on him, okay? I just never was. I know a lot of Spurs fans really like him as a rotational big. Me personally, I just never cared for him that much. And in this game, I feel no different. He defensively, in my humble opinion, he looked lost. Like well, maybe not lost because he didn't look necessarily lost, but he was on his heels the entire game, I thought. Defensively, he wasn't necessarily there. Offensively, obviously 0 for 5. And I'm shocked that he didn't have a turnover, but one of those plays, if you guys remember, if you watched the game, I think it was in the second quarter, it probably should have been a turnover, but they called a foul for him instead. Now, moving on, Bates Diop, nothing there. No positivity I can really take away from it. Jakob, phenomenal, okay? He actually shocked the crap out of me. Now, the reason why he shocked the crap out of me is because you actually saw him in his bag. Like, not only was he really good defensively, you can see here 2 steals, 2 blocks, and a plethora of contests, okay? It was so many contests. He was there. But not only that, one thing that I noticed is he went 4 for 7, but all of these shots that he took, it felt as if, or at least a couple of them, it felt as if he was in his bag. Like, he hit one mid-range shot, which I was like, I'm not accustomed to that. No, don't get me wrong. He's pretty good close shot, but it was just a straight up contested mid-range, and he looked really comfortable in taking it. But yeah, he looked like he was lighter on his feet. I don't know if Jakob lost any weight or anything, but how he was moving, you guys know how Jakob moves sometimes. Sometimes he looks a little flat-footed. I did not see that. I think that he was phenomenal. Like, perfect center that you want on your team. And if the Spurs do decide to trade him, I think that they would get something really good. But if they keep him, I think that that's good as well. And that's because of a certain player in particular that we'll get to. Devin Vassell. So Devin Vassell, he's one of those where don't look at the stats. Everyone on the team played really bad when it comes to shooting, okay? And Devin Vassell, here's the thing. He didn't look great when it came to shooting, but his effort was definitely there. He was going 110 miles per hour, which, take that for what you will. But he could have had very well like 3 posters in this game. He was going at the rim. He was flying. He looked a little bit stronger. It just looked, and this might be kind of weird to say, it just seemed as if I was watching a player that isn't necessarily a star, but you're putting him in that star role, if you know what I mean. Like, I feel like down the line, Devin Vassell will be a second or third option, like really good second or third option on a team. But I don't know if he'll ever reach like superstar level. And I think that in this game, that's what I kind of saw. Like, he was trying to, be the leader of the team. He was trying to put the team on his back. It's only a preseason game. I understand that. It's only the first game. But I've always felt this way about Devin Vassell. So I'm not basing my judgment just on this game, okay? I've always felt this way. I really like him as a player. I think he's going to be really good. But yeah, this game, stats didn't give him all the justice because I think he did play better than the stats suggested. Also, he made some really good passes. Unfortunately, he only got 1 assist out of it. But if you actually, pay attention to the game, he made some really good reads. So IQ was pretty high. Free throw percentage, 80%, 4 for 5. So that's good. But overall, I think he did fine. It was the first preseason game. A little rusty with the shooting, but I thought he was pretty quick on his feet. Was confident in the shots he took. And yeah, he was very aggressive. So I like what I saw from Devin Vassell, and I think he's going to be pretty good this season. Moving on, Trey Jones. I didn't like anything I really saw, if I'm being completely real with you guys. I don't know what to say. Look, he took 3 3-point attempts, so that's good, and he hit 1 of them. But overall, just as far as what I saw, I didn't see anything that was super special right now. Just the first game. Obviously, we've seen Trey Jones in actual NBA games, regular season games, and he's had some pretty good games throughout the season. So it's not a question of whether or not he can ball or anything. But I am questioning, like, on this team that's so young and is going to struggle, is he going to be able to really shine amongst them? I have no idea. We'll just wait and see. Just preseason alone, I wasn't digging what I was seeing. It just didn't look good. I don't know how else to explain it. He just didn't look good. But yeah. Anyways, Blake Wesley, same thing. There's nothing here where I'm just gonna like go in on him, and there's nothing here where I'm just going to get like overly excited. Blake Wesley seemed like the same player that I've seen in the summer league. Like I've been saying this over and over. He just has to find a way to slow down his game a little bit. He'll be completely fine. He'll be a really good point guard or shooting guard, wherever they decide to put him. But as it stands right now, it's the same opinion. He was moving way too fast. Made the reads quicker than he probably should have. I don't know how to explain it. He was just going way too fast. Okay, it felt like his mind was going like a million paces per second, and he didn't necessarily have to. He could have slowed down a little bit. But funny enough, and it's the player that I'm going to get to, Blake Wesley actually ended up looking way better down the line. Okay, so we'll talk about that in a minute. Isaiah Roby, great. I saw the defensive ability. He really reminded me of Jeremy Sohan in this game, and obviously we'll get to Jeremy Sohan, but he was really cool in this game, to the point where they had him guarding the small forward, power forward, center. He showed his bag. He went 2 for 4 from the 3. I think he had like a floater in there that was really nice. He was good around the rim. Just overall good game. As you can see, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, a block. He was good. I liked him a lot. Isaiah Roby did great. Zach Collins, he still look a little rusty, and I guess that just comes down to him being injured a little bit last season, and not really being able to play until later in the season and everything. So yeah, he looked a little rusty, but overall, I thought he did fine. Defensively, at least, he did fine. Doug McDermott, he did Doug McDermott things. I don't really have anything to say. You guys know that I'm not crazy about keeping Doug. I feel like you can probably make a move and get something pretty good for him. But in this game, he struggled a little bit, but he had the same role as he had like last season. So it's nothing different there. Moving on. Let's see. Joe Weezy. He's rusty. He's really rusty. As you guys know, in the summer league, he got hurt. So he didn't really get to play the summer league. In this game, I felt as if he was really trying to show the coaches what he could do, or at least get that shot off. It is much quicker, but it was way off. And the only shot that he hit was one that was a 3-point bank shot. So hopefully we see more of him, that he can get more minutes and get his feet under him. Right now, I think it's just his injury and not playing for so long. And I think he'll be fine, though. Jeremy Sohan. Okay. Jeremy Sohan. His defense was absolutely incredible. You guys know I've been high on Sohan for so long. I've loved me some Jeremy Sohan for so long. Before we even drafted him, we had a video on him. I did a video on all draft prospects, but he was the one that I wanted. I even posted it on Instagram and Twitter, and I said Jeremy Sohan is the one that I would want at that 9th spot. And oh my God, he was great. Defensively, he was great. Now, you can see on the offense, he went 2 for 4, 1 for 3 from the 3-point line, but his rotation on the ball, his form, it looked fine. I think that he'll be really good once he just tweaks it a little bit as the season goes on. But he was great. Like he was great. Defensively, he was that guy. So we can see here, blocks wise, he had 3, which, man, he could have easily had 4. They called quite a few fouls on him because it's preseason and he's a very physical player. But that's cool. But he had a steal. Yes, he had 4 rebounds. But overall, it's one of those eye test things. And he's probably going to always be this type of player where you look at the stats and you're like, well, did he have a good game? He had a good game. He had a great game. He looked comfortable. He was communicating with his teammates. But defense was so good. And one thing, too, that I noticed, Pop has already, and Pop knows these players, right? But Pop has already experimented with him guarding 1s and 5s. He was all over the place in this game. They had him playing against Ty Washington and guarding Ty Washington. And they also, this was pretty interesting. Actually, it's not the one thing that the Spurs did, but against Jabari Smith, he really frustrated Jabari Smith to the point where Jabari Smith ended up pushing him in the back. And I was like, why isn't that a foul? Like, these refs would call it everything is preseason. Why aren't you calling that? But yeah, he was frustrated. And Jeremy's, it's so funny because once he pushed him, Jeremy Sohan barely moved because he's just that strong. Every single player that he went up against, he outstrengthed them. It was really cool to see. So pay attention to him because he's going to be one of those players that on the stat sheet is not necessarily going to be there, but you're going to have to just watch the games. He was a train, dude. He was absolutely incredible in this game. So I love what I saw from Jeremy Sohan. And his very first preseason game is stupid impressive to me. And there's something else I want to add on to that in a minute. Romeo Langford. I don't know. It was still kind of the same. Like, he made the right reads. Like, he was making pretty good passes out there. He was in, the right place, good spacing, everything. Like, it's not really much I could say about him, honestly, but he was okay. Johnson, he looked pretty rough. I talked to Swish Hill about this, and he believes, which I don't know if I agree with, but he believes that Johnson more than likely will be in the G League. I don't know. I feel like the Spurs are going to try to play him. But I mean, that could be the case. Who knows? But as far as this game is alone, it wasn't anything that I was like stupid impressed by. He looked like he struggled. He looked undersized against the Rockets, which was kind of weird to see. But yeah, overall, it wasn't much there. We're going to have to just kind of keep an eye out. And it is his first game with the Spurs ever, so it's okay. Okay, Malachi Branham. Jordan Hall, I didn't even remember he played. I'll be honest with you guys. But Malachi Branham, okay. All right. Okay, so I've been kind of alluding to this entire time. But Malachi Branham, he fixed everything. And I know that sounds like hyperbolic, but no, he fixed everything. So everyone that's talking about how bad this game was and how much we got our butts whooped, we did. But at the same time, once Malachi Branham came in, he felt like a 6-year veteran. Like, it was so strange. He knows, and we already knew this part about him already, but he knows how to get to his spots phenomenally. His jump shot is beautiful. He was so patient. Everything slowed down once Malachi Branham got in the game. And once the Spurs finally had Blake Wesley, Jeremy Sohan, and Malachi Branham playing together, everything was so much more smooth. They slowed the game down. It was smarter passes. Everybody just played better defensively and offensively. It was a more coherent, cohesive offensive unit. It was a good thing to see. Now, here's another thing that I want to bring up, because I ended up saying that Trey Jones and Keita Bates-Diop played a lot. And I think that's what the Spurs are trying to do, see what they can get out of those two, because, you got to give a guaranteed contract to somebody. Now, here's the thing, though. It was some lineups in there that were really ugly. Like, the Spurs were not necessarily thinking about winning in this game. There was a lineup, and this is what I'm talking about, where people just say, oh, they got their butts whooped. Oh, yeah. Well, we had a lineup where Trey Jones was the point guard. And I can't, it was so weird that I don't even know who was shooting guard small. I'll be honest with you guys. It was all over the place. So you had Trey Jones, Bates-Diop was in the game, Jakob Poeltl was in the game, Zach Collins was in the game, and I believe it was Isaiah Roby was in the game, which is such an ugly lineup. It was so ugly. You just had a bunch of big men out there with one point guard. It was so ugly. And that went on for a while, several minutes in that game. And the Houston Rockets were able to kind of open it up even more. So, yeah, it was so ugly. So don't necessarily just like say, oh, my God, Blake Wesley got his butt whooped and Malachi Branham got their butt. No. The rookies barely played together with each other, but when they did, it was beautiful. It was so good. And I was thinking this because I know I've said this too. Malachi Branham, super high IQ. Jeremy Sohan, we already know, super high IQ. Blake Wesley, stupid athlete. And I was thinking this. I was like, dude, the game slowed down. It looked so much better. And I was thinking if Josh Primo can come into this lineup and Keldon Johnson, two players that are quite poised, okay, smart players as well, especially Josh Primo, that could be a really nice, nasty lineup. I actually got excited about it, thinking about it, and I tweeted it out right here. So if you had a lineup like this, and by the way, this isn't me saying like, oh, starting lineup, okay? This is not starting lineup. I just want to see this lineup eventually at some point in the game. But if you have Primo at point guard, super high IQ. You got Branham at shooting guard, super high IQ. You got Keldon Johnson, great athlete, great IQ. And then you have Sohan and Pirtle. Dude, this is such a nasty lineup. You got your do-it-all point guard, right? Oh, crap. You got your do-it-all point guard. You got your crazy great scorer. He was really good around screens as well, by the way. You got your freight train of a small forward, which I don't know how Keldon's going to play this time around, but he's a really good catch and shoot as well. And then you got Sohan, who can guard 1 through 5. And then think about the defense. Malachi Branham is not a bad defender. Think about the defense here. Primo's a really good defender. Keldon is a good defender. Sohan is a phenomenal defender. And Jakob is a paint presence. This is a nasty lineup, bro. I just got to see it. I have to see it. I think it'll be a really nice unit. But yeah, anyways, yeah, it was a nasty game. It wasn't a fun game. If we're looking at the team stats here, they shot overall 35%, terrible. 26% from 3, terrible. Let's see. Anything else that stands out? Overall, negative 38. Well, obviously, he lost, but whatever. And let's scroll down and we look at their team. Jabari Smith. Now, when I said that my boy Sohan had like clamps, he had clamps on Jabari Smith, but unfortunately he wasn't guarding him the entire time. Okay, he just wasn't. He was guarding a little bit of everybody. Even Şengün, he frustrated him as well. And you might see here, and you're like 20. Wait a minute. Oh wait. How did he? Hold on. Am I? Oh, okay, I was looking at it wrong. Yeah, 13 points. I was like, how do you have 2 points, but you went 5 for 6? Okay, 13 points. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so you might see here and you say, wow, you went 5 for 6. But when Jeremy Sohan was on him, he didn't do anything. He either passed out or the refs called some bull foul because Jeremy Sohan's too strong. But yeah, so you can see here, they played really good. 45% from 3. Now, here's the biggest question, and I'm just going to leave it here. As far as 3-point shooting, is this going to continue? I think that it's going to struggle because we already know Trey Jones is not the best 3-point shooter. Denfasel will be fine, but a lot of last season, and this is where he's going to have to learn too, a lot of last season was setting him up for threes. So, I mean, even if we're talking about the play-in game, it was straight up like setting him up, catch and shoot. So it's something he's going to have to learn to shoot off the dribble and whatnot. But I think he'll be okay. I'm not really worried about him. But overall, I do think that the shooting slump is going to continue until, I know people say, oh, of course you'll say this, but until Josh Primo comes back and until Keldon Johnson comes back, I think it's going to kind of continue. I could be wrong, but that's just what I personally think. Joe Weezy can shoot better than this. Doug Mcdermott can shoot he can shoot better than this. So yeah, they'll get theirs. But I think it's going to continue until Josh Primo and Keldon, because Keldon is a good 3-point shooter, and we all know Josh Primo is a really good 3-point shooter when given the opportunity. When he turns it on, he turns it on. So, yeah. Anyways, I think it's going to continue until those guys get in there. But Malachi Branham, boy, oh boy, he was great. A few catch and shoot shots. A bunch of off the dribble shots. It was a beauty. I don't even remember the shot that he missed. But guys, I rambled a lot. Oh my goodness, this video went on a while. I rambled way too much. But those are just my overall thoughts on what I saw from everything this game. I thought it was a really good showing. Obviously, we got our butts whooped, but it's no need to like panic or get upset. Or it is what it is. Okay, we were experimenting with a lot of lineups, and you got to keep in mind that like the Houston Rockets. This unit, while Jabari Smith is new, this unit has, they've been around the block, like they look like they were playing well together, but they kind of been around the block as well. So you can't necessarily even compare. And we didn't have our best player in Keldon Johnson here yet. So yeah, I don't know. Let's chill. Let's relax. But anyways, I'll give it to you guys later. Thanks for all the support, for real. If you want to support the channel even more, clanthemerchfan.com, link in the description for there, or become a Patreon YouTube member, only $2 per month. But I'll give it to you guys later, man. Until next time, deuces.